This is Sneaker Gears. My name is Levi, and welcome to a performance preview early of the LeBron 18. Guys, thank you for jumping into the channel. Now, LeBron 18 is a shoe that LeBron James himself has been kind of wearing. He's been wearing the Soldier 14, and I feel as we get into the playoffs this year, he is going to start breaking out the 18 versus like a 17 Elite as what we've seen in the past. So the LeBron 18, I think, is accumulation of the last 17 years of LeBron's, and I am super excited for the performance it's going to bring. And I wanted to break down kind of what Nike and what LeBron had in mind, what he liked and how it inspired them, and take a look at a few shoes on what's coming together and what we can expect to get performance-wise from the LeBron 18. So with that all being said, thank you for joining today. Please hit thumbs up if you like the channel and consider subscribing, following us on Instagram as well as Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff, and even joining the podcast that we just started as well. Let's jump right in. All right, so I have a lot of shoes here behind me, all LeBrons except for one. So bear with me as I turn around and grab, and maybe I'll change some of the editing here. But the first thing I wanted to look at is the design and how they talked about how the LeBron 18 has a split personality between, it's been whatever years, this is halfway through and blah, blah, blah. The first thing that came to mind that they did this was the LeBron 14. If you guys take a look at this, hopefully it's focusing there. You see this straight line right down the back, and it came through where you had a much more rigid heel that was able to contain you and hold you through. Now, this was the last version of that podular zoom cushioning setup that premiered on the, I believe it was LeBron 12, then 13, and then 14. So this was kind of the final iteration where they really were able to hone it down. So that design is not new to LeBron as far as making the back heel rigid. This is something that they also did with the Jordan 31, where you have that back heel portion is a lot more locked in, and the front portion, hopefully for us wide footers, is gonna be able to move with you and adapt to various foot shapes a little bit more. So I actually do like that setup quite a bit. You're able to get that structure where you need it, hopefully that improved lockdown, and you're gonna notice some of the hard shell plastics they're using are going down into the air unit to remove some of the instability we had in LeBron 17. It's a much thinner air unit, so they really are attacking all the weaknesses that they've seen over the last few years that looks to be like a performance beast. So we have that kind of front half portion. Now let's look at the knit or the battle knit or whatever they're going to call it for LeBron 18 and how that came to be. So the LeBron 18 upper, or the knit it's using, is actually taken from all three of the past LeBrons, from the 15, 16, and the 17. So on the 15, we had a battle knit, but the best version of that battle knit was this one right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. This was a Kith battle armor version, and this one actually had, you can see they had a almost like a paisley print on it, but all black. So this was actually stronger, it had more structure than any of the LeBron 15s that were released. So we upgraded from this, which was already really nice, to the LeBron 16. The LeBron 16 brought with it, they called it a high tensity yarn, or I would call it tensile strength. And you guys probably can't see it in here. Let's see if this zooms in a little better. But this knit obviously moved with you very well, but also had some kind of fishing wire similar to the Kobe 11 that gave it a little bit more strength while also allowing it to move with you. This version did add that patent leather, which also improved the lateral containment. So this was probably the best lateral containment and overall upper that we've seen from the 15, 16, and 17. Now, what they did to upgrade the 17 was giving us knit posit, and what that had was kind of a plastic that gave it TPU yarns. So essentially the back portion of the shoe, again adding rigidity to it, had plastic that they were able to heat up and give it a little more structure. We almost had plastic on it. So not foam posit, not knit, it's a knit posit, but all in the name of adding rigidity and strength to a knit they already had. Now, what I really liked about the LeBron 17, and you can see here, hopefully from the line, that stitching still sets up the heel portion that was much stronger for the forefoot portion that actually had a little bit more room. So again, your foot can naturally move, but you still had that structure. It seems like they're bringing it all together where you're going to have a high strength forefoot with a back section that's going to be super strong. Now, again, this version of the LeBron 17, I also believe, like the 15 and 16 kind of special editions, was or is one of the better performing 17s, simply because you have that additional containment over what you're getting on regular 17s. You have that additional lockdown with the lacing and the Velcro. So all the special versions are kind of higher performance models, which I love to see. It's not just about height or fashion, but we're getting this upper on the LeBron 18 that really looked at the last 3 years and said, hey, what can we do to bring these together? And I think they did it really well. Now down to the cushion, and this is what's going to be incredible about the LeBron 18. So the 17, I always said, is we got a very crappy version as a general release, and I believe what LeBron himself is playing in is closer to what we're going to be seeing on the 18, meaning the air unit and the heel is closer to the ground. It's more balanced. I'm assuming, obviously no one except LeBron has played in it, is going to have a better transition heel to toe, and then that forefoot zoom does look to be a little bit less than what we got on the GR general release, meaning he has a little bit more court feel. All that being said, that evolution, I think, also comes from LeBron trying on some of KD's shoes. The KD 12 and the KD 13 with that full length zoom underfoot, that zoom Strobel, is unbelievable. Now the KD 12 has a double stacked heel zoom, and the setup they're going with the LeBron 18 is actually a full length zoom, which we don't know if it's Strobel yet, but the heel portion is encased in an air unit, which is crazy. Now, I think that's going to be similar, and why I bring the KD12 is because the KD12 had those cutouts in the foam. Essentially, that zoom was able to really move and reflect and react to the motion or the movement that you gave it. So because of that movement, it felt super bouncy. Now, the KD13, they did cage in a little more, but they gave it a double stacked forefoot zoom. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how they implement the forefoot zoom on the LeBron 18. Is it going to be close to your foot, that zoom Strobel? Is it going to slope down like we saw on the tennis shoe or the Pegasus 35 and 36, so you have more court feel but less cushion? Or is it going to be double stacked? We don't know any of these things in the forefoot zoom. But when's the last time we saw a full length zoom on a LeBron? Well, the first time was actually the LeBron 4s, these guys, and I will be doing a full comparison with those back there if you guys can see it, as far as the LeBron 17 and its kind of a historical ancestor here. This was a full-length Zoom Air, and I believe it was double stacked in the heel. Sound familiar? Yeah, KD12. And look at those holes. So this was a super comfortable setup. I have used these in a few of my Kobe's, and this is absolutely fantastic. Now, this is just thinner than a typical midsole that you can take out, so it didn't work quite as well in the Kobe's, but it's just quite a bit thicker, as you can imagine, than your average insole. But it's kind of funny to see how the LeBron 17 threw back to the first full-length Zoom Air, and now we're seeing it come back in LeBron 18. Now, we also saw a double-stacked full-length Zoom on the LeBron 6, which was super comfortable. I didn't break that out. And then again, we didn't see it until the LeBron 10 with that full-length Zoom Max, or as now they're calling it, Zoom Air Max. Is that what it's going to feel like? So I'm hoping the Zoom Air in the LeBron 18 is going to feel similar to this. This was and still is kind of a gold standard, but the problem is, depending how they implement full-length Zoom, the very next year we also had full-length Zoom. LeBron 11. Very different. We had a full-length lunar lawn cushion with a bottom-loaded full-length Zoom Air. Not nearly as bouncy, not nearly as, I guess, the amount of cushion, although this was more plush. So I think we're going back to more of a plush setup, because that's how I would describe the LeBron 17. LeBron 17 is the most plush LeBron that you've seen. And again, as he's getting older, being able to absorb that impact goes a long way. So if we can get that plush feeling but still have some court feel. I think we kind of have the best compromise of both worlds. Now the LeBron 15 and 16 took the cushioning from this, segmented it, and gave us, I think, still the best cushioning setups on any LeBron. The 17 is the most plush, but it's not giving you much court feel. You don't really feel quick in it. It's not the most bouncy. So there is a balance of things to come here, and I think the LeBron 18 is going to kind of give us that, where we should have some plushness in the heel. We should have a better transition, which generally full-length Zoom Air is going to give us anyway, and we should have more court feel in the forefoot as long as they can execute that right. Now, what I'm secretly hoping for, and guys, I don't know if you remember this, this is one of LeBron's shoes that I'm going to say Nightwing liked the best. Chris, I think, highly touted this as one of his favorite LeBrons, and let's see if I'm right. I would love if he gave me a shout out. The LeBron 9 Elites. Guys, this thing, I think, has a lot of similarities on what we're going to see on the LeBron 18 9 years later. This offered such a well-balanced shoe for everybody that even if you were a big guy, a quick guard, max cushion, court feel, it was just so well balanced. We have a full kind of, I think, what do they call it? T-bone Air Max 180 unit. Look familiar. We have kind of a harder shell on the back here with carbon fiber. So you have that firm heel that really holds you in. Now, what I liked about this is I like low tops. This actually gave you really a low top feel, right? But it gave you the, what is that? Kobe said the prosepial. Hopefully I said that right. I think I was wrong. Where you can lock it up top, right? But allowed you to have that ankle and that torque and locked in feeling while giving you the ankle flexibility of playing as a low top. Best of both worlds. Now the cool thing is you had that air unit that actually worked really well with the max or large volume 4-foot zoom unit that you could see. And that little cutout actually aided to, again, just like in the KD12, being able to move and flex. This gave you some court feel. This gave you some bounce. This is probably the closest feeling that we're going to see going to LeBron 18, where again, it's going to be full length zoom, not just in the 4-foot, also Air Max. And we're going to see how they execute that 4-foot zoom. So this was a favorite. This is one of the lighter LeBrons they've ever done. This was obviously the 10 Elite was really cool. And then they had 11 Elite, 12. I think they stopped with the 13 as far as the Elites, and they stopped it. But this initial LeBron 9 Elite, I think, still holds a really special place. Maybe even in LeBron's inventory, because I know this had to have been brought up when they were developing the 18. And finally, the traction. The traction is going to be, and I'm saying it right here, an upgrade from the 17. Why? Because they're getting rid of these giant grooves that gave a lot of space to lose traction. It's going to have more of a flat setup, and they're taking inspiration, if you read the text, more from like a running shoe where it's going to be split down the middle here again, so it actually allows you to move more naturally, and it's going to have flex grooves, very running shoe like, but not these giant cutouts just to make room for these zoom pods. I think they actually perfected this setup in the BB NXT. I'll have a review on that. If you guys like the LeBron 17, you will love the BB NXT, and I think that's just, it's doing what this was trying to do. And not saying I don't like the 17. I have 2 pairs now, but it does fall short. And if we're looking at just purely performance, almost any other shoe is going to be better in more regards. But this is just a fire colorway that I love it. And there's another one that I got where I just want to have my collection complete since I have every LeBron. So, but performance-wise, if you look at the traction, just having a more coherent traction pattern, I think the pattern itself is going to be a little bit better. It's a little more flat, so you're going to have better coverage. If you can have more contact with the court, in general, you're going to have better traction than when you have areas like this where when you flex it, and when you turn, all of a sudden you have giant gaps of absolutely no coverage that leaves room to possibly slip, which I know I've done in certain courts. Nightwing, and his review, Chris was saying he slipped that a few times, and it was always random. Now, the clear version with this is the translucents have always performed much better if you really want to get the 17. And in these cases, they've done very well. I'm just excited to see an improvement even from this. All in all, the LeBron 18, it looks to be an exciting shoe. The release date is coming in September 2020. Hopefully I'll have a full review on that when it comes out. If you guys are looking for other performance reviews, please subscribe to the channel. If you have any other questions, I'll try to answer, but obviously this is a shoe that only LeBron himself is using. I think this is what he's going to be using in the championships or playoff series if he actually goes to the championship. So we're going to get an early preview of LeBron 18. I don't think we're going to see a 17 elite. I don't think he's going to be playing in the 17 lows. Maybe we'll see the Soldier 14 kind of thrown in there, but it's exciting to see those broken out, and the performance specs and the actual advancements they made look to be incredible. Zoom Air encased within a Max Air unit that's full length, with the upgrade in the knit technology, with a nice, firm, more stable heel portion. All that adds up into something that I can't wait to use. Let's just pray it's not too heavy. If they kept the weight in check and they kept some of the flexibility, this shoe is going to be amazing. Guys, if you like that video, please give it a thumbs up. This is Levi Sneak Gears. Really appreciate you, and I will come at you later.